welcome back again to another episode of Two Poets. This is episode 5. We're still here and haven't been canceled or shut down or ran out of money, you know, the money that we don't have. But hey, welcome to the show.
We have money?
Oh, yeah. Advertisers, you know.
Dang.
The 0 advertisers we have.
I didn't know we were legit.
Now, we do this out of the kindness of our heart and make $0 from it.
It's all love. That's all we make.
I mean, we're artists. We're not supposed to get paid, right?
Yeah, that would defeat the whole purpose.
Well, anyways, welcome back to episode 5. Hope you all enjoyed last week's episode, having Hogan join us. That was really awesome. Got a lot of great feedback on that episode.
So, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And it was cool just having our first guest.
Yeah, she really loved it too. She thought it was a lot of fun. So
good. Hopefully we didn't make her too nervous or anything. Yeah. Yeah, in our nice, tiny little office, squeezing the third person around the table. Eventually we'll upgrade, but you know, that's why we need your money. Yeah. So how's your week been, Ben?
It's been pretty good. It's been a chill week. Been trying to write. Kind of struggling this week writing. Yeah. Some days it's a struggle.
No, I totally get that.
The creative process is a struggle.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How about you? What you been up to?
Let's see. Well, just work like normal. Today, I stayed home from work, actually, because I had to catch up on work around the house. So I built a fence today.
Cool.
Yeah. So we have a fence out here in our driveway, next to our driveway, that was it's just been deteriorating. You know, it's just like a cedar picket fence. And so I've been meaning to do it for the past 3 years, you know, put a new fence up. So today I was like, all right, I'm going to rip the fence down and put all new pickets up. And yeah, so it turned out pretty good.
Did you reuse the wood or did you just like start
I got rid of all the pickets. So I actually went ahead and used pressure treated pickets. So I took all the old ones off. I kept all the stringers and the frame there. And I didn't want to replace all that because it was still good. So it was just having to take all the pickets down and put new pickets up. So
nice.
Fairly simple.
I'm going to go look at it when we're done.
Sweet. It'll be dark, but
write something on it. I'll write my name on it.
If I see the penis on there, I know who drew it.
Oh yeah.
But no, other than that, it's been good. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of chess lately. Yeah. So I've really been just staying up late, watching a bunch of videos and playing chess and having a lot of fun with that. Yeah, it's like I was telling you earlier before we started, like I used to play a lot growing up as a kid. And then just kind of getting back into it now, it's just a lot of fun. It really makes my brain hurt.
That's cool, man. I never devoted the time to actually learn chess. I learned what the pieces, what their moves are, but that's it. I never tried to learn strategy or anything.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. Like, there's a difference of playing the game and knowing the game. Yeah, because there's like so many different openings and defenses, and they all have different names, and you shift from one opening style to another opening style, just depending on what your opponent's playing, and they all have these weird names after people who invented them, and so it's a lot to memorize.
Did you watch the show The Queen's Gambit?
I did not watch it. Well, I've watched it on TikTok. Have you ever found those TikTok accounts where they put like 3 minutes of the movie and like part 1, part 2? Yeah, it's like by part 54, you're like, I've watched the whole movie.
Why am I doing this? I should just go stream the show. Yeah, we started that. Man, we started that a long time ago, like when it first came out. And it was really good. We really enjoyed it. It's fascinating though, like the whole world of chess, because you have your own celebrities within the world.
Oh yeah.
And it's so interesting because they're like really brilliant at chess, but they're completely eccentric in all these other areas of their lives, which is really cool. So the concept for the show is actually really fun because it gave you all these really unique, quirky, like smart, crazy characters, and it's a lot of fun. You should watch it.
I feel like they kind of played him up a little bit too in the scenes that I saw. And that's the thing, like playing chess and like chess clubs and stuff, like I don't think there's like any normal people in the chess world that are like legit
in a
playing
good way.
chess. Yeah, exactly. In a good way. They're all eccentric and different and unique. I remember I was playing with this really old guy once, and like he just did not talk the whole time we played, you know, and he was just sitting there scratching his head the whole time. And I'm like, this guy is weird. And I was like 12, but
he was analyzing, man. He was like, he was reading you.
Oh yeah. And I'm sitting there like, hi, what's your name? You know,
is he like Jerry in the Pixar chess game where he like makes a move and then walks around the table?
Oh yeah, I was like, Jerry, we're talking about. No, I remember that little short now.
I pictured 12-year-old Corey with this old man, and he's like making a move, and then he's like, That's awesome. Feigns a heart attack and then flips the board on.
Flips the board, yeah. No, but yeah, it's like I said, it's been a good week, and that's kind of what I'm up to.
Chill week.
Yeah. Do you have fun writing your poem this week?
Bro, I struggled big time on this one. I think I ended up, I wrote something that like in the first 2 days, and then I didn't like it and I abandoned it. And then I spent the rest of the week wondering what to write. And then I ended up writing 3 things. And the first one I was like, well, the first one I abandoned. The second one I was like, I don't even know what this is. I'm reaching. So I quit. And then I started the third one and I was like, oh, this could be something. And it turned into like kind of a short story thing. But it just felt so forced that I was like, I can't. So I just went back to the first thing.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm interested to see just how it goes.
Sweet. Yeah. So. And this is one of those weeks where I got mine done early and like I sat down to write it and wrote it all in one sitting. Yeah. And I was like, I'm actually happy with this.
That's the best when you just sit down and it just works and it just, you just flesh it out and it flows. I was excited for this prompt too. I was like, man, this prompt, like this kind of thing, like the noticer thing, that's right up my alley. And I just could not get it. For some reason, there was something there I was blocking the whole week. So I'm excited to hear yours.
And so for those of you who didn't catch last week's episode, or just a quick reminder, the prompt last week was a poem about something that's either underappreciated or underrated. And so that's kind of a really cool premise. So yeah, super excited about that.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get into it, right?
Sounds good.
Hey, I'll go first this time.
Cool.
Okay, so the premise of my poem, so, the prompt was something underappreciated or underrated. And so well, not really the twist, but the theme that I kind of went with my poem was something that I feel is underrated or underappreciated is sharing emotions. And the way society sees sharing emotions, especially when it comes from like men, and the stigma behind sharing emotions and expressing how you feel. And just in society in general, there's kind of a lack of, with lack of funding and like mental health and things like that, so it's still something that hopefully is getting pushed to the forefront is like how great it is to actually, because I'm not gonna lie, I have a terrible problem with sharing emotions and how I feel. So
there's a huge stigma with men and sharing emotion and what that should look like versus what it actually looks like.
And that's why my best way to share my emotions is through writing.
Yes.
All right. So this poem is called Hid It Well. Not hit it, but hid it well.
Gotcha.
Figured I should probably clarify. All right. When I was a young boy, I would quietly keep to myself, stayed in my room and strum my guitar, and I went with Link to the past and rescued Zelda for the 20th time. Interactions with people made me nervous and even led me to tears. I didn't know how to express, so I did my best to keep it together. When I hurt myself, I wanted to shed tears, but instead I would hear, man up. Man up? How is a man supposed to go up? Wouldn't sharing how you feel and being real be more appreciated rather than getting the raw end of this deal? Why do we look down on someone crying out for help and see a weakness? It's time to celebrate the bravery. That same bravery that was hindered from showing inside of me. What is wider than the range of emotions we feel on a day-to-day basis? Oh, I insist it is real. We cannot deny that it is time to start seeing each other for how we really are, a shell with emotions. And maybe, if we just try, we can all be better for it.
Man, that's a real look.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. Wow. So this one, definitely pulling from experience on this poem. So
thank you for sharing that. Thank you for writing that and putting that out there. That's vulnerable. And I totally appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you appreciating.
That's good, man. Man. Like I think there's a lot of people that would resonate with that. Having an emotion that is just real and it's there and it's heavy and it comes out and people don't know what to do with it. And they're like, their first instinct is, oh, well, don't cry. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Or calm down, or you need to chill out. And that's an iffy place to be, especially for a young person who is feeling things they don't know how to process.
Yeah, exactly.
And it tells them that your emotions are too much, you know? That's a real piece.
Yeah. And that if you can't control your emotions, you know, you're just an emotional person,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, especially as a kid, like your whole world is being formed, you know, and how you're supposed to handle situations, you know, and if you're not taught how to handle those situations and, you know, and that it's okay to show, you know, emotion, it's okay to share how you feel, you know, and then how are we going to, what's the next step after that?
Yeah.
You know, so many times in society, it's like, we don't talk about, well, what's the next step after you feel? It's like, no, stop it.
Yeah.
You know, stop it. Why are you crying? Why are you upset? There's nothing to be upset about.
Totally.
You know, it's like, oh, that's just so crushing.
Man, and to add to that, when people go through and get healing, they work through emotions, they go to therapy or something, they get healing, they're still kind of like, well, okay, now where do I go from here?
Yeah.
Because the same old patterns, they still creep up. You've gotten healing from some things and you've learned how to process things. And now you kind of just have to figure out what that process looks like for you.
Yeah.
So, I think that's an interesting, I can tell this is going to be a good show.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that is something that I feel is very underrated and underappreciated. So
totally.
That's something. All right, society, let's fix it.
Seriously, get on that. We're doing our part.
Raising awareness.
Oh man, that was good. So my first concept for my poem was kind of the same, like focusing on relationships. It's very easy to get focused on life and time slips by and you take people for granted, even if you don't mean to, and relationships kind of just go, they kind of just wane and fall away. And so that was kind of my focus for this one.
Cool.
Again, I didn't even think about a title. So don't have a title yet.
We'll have all those titles figured out whenever we do something special at the end of the season. Something.
So this is my poem on time.
Nice.
What if life wasn't measured by time, but by people? The number of people in your life determined the length or age or calendar. Someone would ask something and we would say, oh, that was like 4 people ago. Or, wow, that lasted 4 communities. Or, we only made it through 1 friendship. But the goal of life wouldn't be to rush through people. It would simply be to find connection and keep it going. Our lives are a rush. We are so focused on doing, going, making, taking, fixing, mixing, spending, mending, that most of us would give anything for just a little more time. We long for comfort, security, the chance to relax, to stop and say, you know, I like it here. I want to spend more time here, doing this thing, being with this person. What if that was the whole purpose? What if your life's worth wasn't measured by your accomplishments, but by your relationships? In that sense, many of us would die just to be with someone. We long for connection, a sense of belonging, meaning in every conversation we had, in every action we performed, in every relationship we cultivated, because we wouldn't want to waste them. If we measured relationships like we do time, I wonder just how much more valuable our lives would become to us, and how much longer our time here would last.
Well, that's a thinker.
It is.
No, I love how you're comparing that and just the importance of relationships and seeing them that same way.
Yeah, I definitely have. There's probably been a lot of friendships over the years that have kind of dissipated.
Yeah.
And every so often you think back and you're like, man, you know, I wonder what could have been different about that, you know? And there are times too that you're like, man, maybe I should reach out to him. And there's been so much time gone by. You're like, nah, it's probably not it. They probably didn't want to talk to me, or it's not even going to be the same, you know?
But then you don't even know like what they're thinking and what they're going through. And that probably would have been the best idea to reach out at the same time too. Yeah.
When you have the thought, just reach out.
Yeah. No,
just do it right then.
True.
Don't think about it. Just jump. Unless things were weird. Be conscious of that. But yeah, reach out.
No, but that's very important. Like, yeah, that's very important to think about, and just just the importance of relationships and what it's like to value those, because like when they're gone.
Yeah,
most of the time, and it's like you don't even realize it until years later, and you're like, man, I miss that, or I wish I could just go back to that. There's definitely a lot of relationships in my past that I wish could still be the same or could go back to that time, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And the worst thing that could happen is you rush through time, and then you blow through relationships, and then you spend the last little remaining time focused on regret.
Oh yeah.
I think like spending your time in regret is one of the worst things that could just happen to anybody. So,
no, yeah, that's so true. Like, and you know, Lauren and I have talked to you about, you know, that relationship with those friends that we had in Oklahoma City when we lived there.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
and it was just one of the best relationships, you know, that we had. Like, we were just such good friends. We were all artists, all creative.
Yeah.
You know, and then just in just a you know, an instant, like that friendship was just like, well, what happened? You know, where did that go?
Man.
What, like, there was no more communication, like we got ghosted, and it was like, that's still like a wound that still hasn't healed, you know? And it's like, man, but that was just such a wonderful time, you know, and just that little bit of measurement of time in our life, you know, was just so good. And it's like, we can't go back to that now.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even something that we made the choice. That choice was given to us, you know?
Yeah. And maybe, I mean, in a situation like that, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe there's an underlying thing there that you couldn't see.
True.
I mean, a lot of times when it's sudden like that, there's a lot of other stuff going on under the surface that you didn't know was there, because whoever the relationship was with, they were really good at masking something. Yeah. There are obviously deeper things there. And so when that ends, for some unforeseen reason, maybe that's a good thing for you guys. Maybe you dodged an unhealthy spiral somewhere. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it's also like, how do you let go or know when to let go or when to hold on to something, you know? Because like, what if it's bad for so many years, but you held on to it and then you can like mend and it's better again? And it's like, well, how do you know? It's like, you don't really know.
Man, that's a hard one, trying to hang on to something because it feels familiar and it's good in certain times, but it's not good all the time. That's a tough one. You can't fix someone who is not willing to admit they're broken. Yeah. Like, they have to make those decisions, and until they can make those decisions, you can't force that, because it's just not going to be good. It's going to be frustrating. Yeah. And those relationships are just not going to be good until that person, for anyone, until that person can realize they're hurt or something and they focus on themselves. Like, they're not going to change otherwise. Sad place to be.
Sad place. Yeah. And, you know, for y'all listening too, you know, I'm sure everyone listening has a story that they can share or talk about that they've gone through, you know? So yeah, has there been a relationship, you know, that you've gone through with, whether it be friends or family or something, you know, that there's been something, or maybe just that time period in your life where like, I should have cherished that more, and now that time is gone. You know? Yeah. We'd love to hear about that too.
Also, do you have a story where you had a relationship that lapsed and you took the leap and reached out, and maybe you're friends again, you know, maybe you rekindled a relationship? We'd love to hear about that too. That would be cool.
Because there's nothing worse than knowing after so many years that both of you were like, I should just reach out. No, maybe they don't want me to. Then the other person's like, I should just reach out. No, maybe they don't want me to. And then you spend so many years on the what ifs when you could have had.
That's the frustrating movie plot where the characters run circles around each other. And if they would just like humble themselves and come out a little bit and say, hey, it would just change everything. Yeah.
And that's the thing, is because you're looking at it from the outside. You can see what's easy going to see the problem there. Man. But those on the inside of the relationship, like, they got blinders. You know, they have those blinders. And
tough, heavy stuff.
Yeah. So, hopefully you all enjoyed these poems for this week. You know, got a little heavier on them. But, you know, I think that's where art comes from, is vulnerability and the willingness to talk about things. That's what makes art beautiful. You know, and what's great about your poem and, you know, kind of what we're talking about with relationships and stuff, I think that's a great segue into this week's topic, which we wanted to talk to you all about community and what that looks like for a creative person in the creative world and the importance of community, and is community worth it? And, you know, is it better to do art alone, or is it better to do art in a community, or at least surround yourself, you know? And so the importance of that. And so it's kind of what we want to talk to you all about today. So yeah. Community.
It's an interesting topic. I think there are so many different facets to it, because if you find an actual good, healthy community, I think it allows people to express themselves freely and not have to worry about changing who they are to fit with other people. But if you find yourself in a community that requires things of you that are just don't feel right or are not normal, and you have to change who you are to fit into the community, that doesn't sound like a very healthy place.
Yeah.
And the hard part is recognizing what that community is.
Yeah.
If you can get to a place where you know yourself pretty well and you find yourself having to change who you are to fit in, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Don't hang out with those people. Get out of that community.
Especially as like a creative person, an artist, you know, like, that's the beauty of it, is your art is you. What you're making is you. And so by changing who you are, you're changing your art. You're changing your medium.
Sure.
You know, and so, and listeners, when we're talking about community, we're talking about not necessarily some organized,
not a commune.
Not a commune, or some like monthly gathering you go to. We're talking about like the immediate people around you, your circle of influence, the people that you surround yourself with, your friends. It could be, your community could be one other person. Your community could be a whole group that does meet monthly, but then or you have like a once a week meetup where you do cool stuff together, but you're also checking in on each other. And there's a lot of that going on.
It's intentional. It's an intentional relationship.
Yeah. 'Cause I feel like, so a lot of, you know, going back to personal experience, like growing up, as a youngling, and, you know, and discovering the artistic side of myself, a lot of that was alone, you know? And so a lot of, you know, being a homeschool kid, super quiet, super introverted, like I didn't really have that community of other artists and stuff. I mean, I had the occasional, you know, meetups and things like that I had to go to with homeschool groups and stuff, you know, in church and things like that. But I didn't have, or I should say, I just spent so much time alone creating in my room. Or when I would just go like walk around my neighborhood and stuff, like I would just have ideas and things go on. But when I look back at those times, I did a lot of really cool things, and I was able to find out a lot about myself. But I feel like I could have thrived a bit more if I had somebody pushing me, or if I was like pushing and investing in someone else and then getting inspired from them doing their work. It would inspire me to want to push harder, you know?
Yeah.
And so like, I just feel like the lone wolf artist can only do so much.
Yes. And, and you can only be, you'll risk being one dimensional because your focus is on your isolation. Your focus is on your feelings, which are a lot of times loneliness and depression and things like that. And that will influence you as an artist. It will influence your thoughts. It'll influence your expression. And, I think there's beautiful art that can come out of that, but I don't think that's a healthy place for someone to be on a long-term spectrum. Like if you spend your life as that artist, that's a lonely, sad life.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is we've seen a lot of beauty come out of those painful, lonely situations that we on the outside years later, like, oh, that's so beautiful. But at the same time, it's very sad.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't look at the underlying sadness to it, you know, of like, we just look at the beauty that was created, but we don't look at the life that was lived.
Yeah. You know? We idolize the talent and we don't recognize the suffering.
Yeah.
You know, and that's pretty common, I think, for a lot of like famous actors and artists and stuff, like you hear about the stuff they created and then you read up on their lives. Like they had horrible lives. They had sad, depressing lives. A lot of times I think it's because they're in a field all of their own and there are not very many people they can connect with on certain levels. But on other aspects of that, a lot of them probably did pursue that isolation because there is an underlying belief that suffering creates art. I just think that's only to a certain degree is that okay. You know, you can't isolate yourself solely for the purpose of your art. Otherwise you're just going to like have this horrible time trying to live in a life.
You know? Yeah. And you're trying to force it at the same time. Yeah.
There's a TED Talk that I've listened to a couple times, and I see it clips of it popping up on TikTok a lot. It's a guy, his name is Johan Hari, and he talks about addiction. And you may have seen it popping up. He talks about the study of addiction with rats and you know, the common study of putting a rat in a cage and giving it water and then another thing of water that's laced with like heroin or something. And the rats choose heroin and they, you know, they get addicted and all that stuff and then they die, you know, and it's kind of like their speculation on addiction and all that. And he talks about this, this other viewpoint of it where another guy noticed, well, what else is the rat going to do? It's in a cage and its only options are drink water or drink heroin water.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course it's going to drink heroin. So he did this experiment where he created this like theme park for rats. And they had all of these things to do in tunnels and other rats to do things with. And then they had heroin and water. And none of the rats chose heroin. And very rarely did they choose it. They never overdosed on it. It wasn't like to the point of habit forming. And it's because they were able to be around a healthy habitat where they could be happy and live happy lives.
Yeah.
And it was like in isolation, the only thing they had to focus on was the fact that they were alone and they were bored and they had nothing to do. So of course they're going to overdose.
Yeah.
But in a healthy atmosphere, you have so much stuff going on. You don't want to be alone. You don't want to focus on isolation. You don't want to, you know, be in self-pity or something.
Yeah.
And when you're in a healthy place and you have people around you, they won't let you do that. They're going to reach out and they're going to say, hey, come out with us. Come do this. Let's do this thing. Let's make this movie, or let's sing this song, or let's write this book, or let's go perform, or let's go like have coffee, or let's go have dinner, or let's go, you know, do all these things. And if someone is in a healthier environment, I feel like they're less likely to struggle with depression and loneliness and addiction and things. Not that those things won't still be there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But the more you surround yourself with good people who care about you and love you, and you know, you're in a tight-knit community like that, the less likely you are, you know, to be able to suffer in those ways. And I think that the easier it will be for you to express yourself because people will know you for who you are and see that and encourage that. So
isn't that the thing? Like, isn't it better to live who we are, you know, and like being able to express ourselves, our feelings, our ideas in a safe place with people that are going to just talk with us and relate and understand, you know, and and like, we're talking like, you know, that communities that creates a sense of belonging and togetherness, you know, and I feel like that's the thing is all we want in life, at least a majority of us, is to belong somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, like that's such a big thing. Like even me, I've felt that in my life. Like I just want to belong with this group, just somebody take me in, you know, like, and so I feel like, you know, as a creative person, as someone who, you know, for those listening, if you're an artist, if you're a creative person, you know, whatever, musician, like find that group that you can just belong to, you know, and just know that you don't have to do this journey alone. And the cool thing about getting together with others that are like-minded individuals, and obviously don't just surround yourself with people who are exactly like you. Like you need to challenge yourself, find people that you don't agree with. You know, surround yourself with a separate group that's going to challenge you in the way in your ideas and your thoughts. You know, like you don't need just people that are exactly like you. They're always going to agree with you.
Yeah, seriously.
Please diversify. Don't get yes men, yes women, yes people around you.
Yeah, find people who their intentions are for your good.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's okay to share differing opinions, but sharing your opinions in love is going to create a much better place than it is someone who's trying to share their opinions to win the argument and prove they're right. It's also really good to have a place where you can feel free to discover who you are, even if you don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's like the biggest thing is you want an identity and you need a place that's safe where you can kind of discover who you really are.
Yeah.
That's a hard one because for me growing up, I felt like I had very strong emotions, but a lot of the times the feelings I got from other people were they didn't know what to do with them. My emotions were too strong or, or people would judge whatever I was feeling or doing or saying based off of just the outer appearance of that. And you learn very quickly, oh, okay, I need to keep that to myself, or I need to stifle my emotions, or I need to not show people who I am, or I need to reserve myself and be mysterious or whatever. And I think half of the battle is finding a place where you have the freedom to express yourself and discover who you are without the fear of people, like you said earlier, are going to tell you, hey, you need to tone down, or hey, don't do that. Don't cry. Don't feel your emotion. We don't do that. You know, that's the challenge is how do you find that place, you know, when you're, especially when you're like 13, 14, 15.
That's true.
Trying to find a place where you can actually express and figure things out, you know?
Yeah. And that's crazy. The thing is finding those people who will, you know, who will pour into your life. And like another great aspect of communities is they foster a mentor-mentee relationship.
Yeah.
You need mentors in your life.
Yes.
And they don't have to look like this wise old person that's training you every day. No, just someone who you can look up to and be like, what they're doing, I need to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and then the same thing, you need to be pouring into someone else who's just learning. You need to teach them, you know, because we want to see the next generation of artists, of creatives come up. And when someone is new to, I mean, if you're a musician, you know, you're playing in bands and stuff, and someone is new to music and they're like, I love the way you play guitar. I want to learn that. Don't just be like, well, go watch some videos, kid.
Go
you
struggle.
Know? You know, like, no, like, share your knowledge, share with them, you know, because you don't know if that's going to like spark that creative interest in that kid who's going to now go out and study your music and like really like, okay, I want to play like this person. And that's going to lead into their own style, you know, and like how devastating if it's that one kid who finally shows up to you and you're like, no, screw off, kid. And that kid's like, I'm never playing guitar again. And that could have been like the next greatest guitar player, you know, but we need to have that relationship where it's like, okay, I'm hanging out with you because I want to know what you know. I want to paint like you paint. You know, I want to write like you write. What can you teach me? What can you show me?
Yeah.
You know, and then you start learning that. And then as you get more knowledge, you start giving that knowledge off to the next person.
Sure.
And that's how we learn. That's how we develop creativity.
Yeah. Find the people that are doing the things you want to do.
Yeah.
Or find the people that have been through the struggles you're going through. Because you need people to help you figure out how to get through those struggles. One of the best things you can do for yourself is read.
Yeah.
Read. Most successful people will tell you that many of their mentors have already been dead for 100 years.
Oh, yeah.
They just found their books and they read and read and read and studied. And I mean, even if you don't have someone in your life, like in physical form present to talk to or something, find books, find ways to learn and educate yourself, read, study the lives of people who did things that you want to do.
Yeah.
That's another really good long-term incentive.
Yeah. Because if you find yourself in a place where you're like, there's nobody around me that I want to hang out with or that I feel safe hanging around, or a community that I just can't find it. Well, yeah, you got books, you got
totally
YouTube. I mean, honestly, like the digital age, you can also find things on there too. You know, you can reach out to people online and stuff, but just even if it's an online relationship, like just find that community of people you can connect with.
Because the more that you step into that, the more you will attract other people who are wanting that too.
Yeah, you could be the one
that's how you build community.
People. Yeah, you be the person that you want to be, and people will see that and want that, and then that's how that community gets started. If you can't find that community, you start that community.
Start it, yeah.
You know, yeah. And so like, and so kind of want to talk about this too, like, those communities don't have to last forever.
No.
Because they're not going to last forever.
Yeah.
Lives change. People go on to do different things. And it's okay if it lasts 1 year, 2 years, 10 years. You know, and kind of like you were talking about with relationships and time, like those things are for a time, you know, and you're going to look back maybe in 10 years and be like, man, I just miss that so much, you know? Like, so for like a real life example, so like Ben and I both, our relationship began over coffee.
Yeah.
You know, so when we met, like I'd kind of known Ben a little bit
coffee
through
right now.
Yeah, we're drinking coffee right now. I'd kind of known Ben through some mutual people and stuff like that. And like I was playing music in Enid, and I played in the coffee shop he worked at, which is Da Vinci's Coffee House. And so eventually I came on to work at Da Vinci's Coffee House with Ben. And so we were making coffee together. You know, he was teaching me latte art, and you know, and we just had this whole community of coffee. Yeah. You know, eventually we became owners and business partners with other people and friends and stuff. And so that was our community at that point, was we were going to build the coffee business in our hometown, or not my hometown, in our town that we were living in, you know, here in Oklahoma. And so we did that for a good amount of years, you know, and that was our community, you know, but just like all things, there was a time where it was like, okay, I think this has reached its peak.
Yeah.
You know, and it was great. We did a lot of awesome things. We really got to dive into coffee and like really do some cool things in the community. But our time as this immediate community of business and like-minded people, it just kind of was a natural thing where it's like, okay, it's kind of reached its peak. It's time to move on to other things, you know, and that community kind of dissolved a little bit. But it's okay, because that was a time in our lives, you know, that was a great time, but now it's on to the next thing.
That was a good time. And we both came out of that with really good, strong relationships. Like we still have really good connections and relationships through that.
Absolutely.
And we're still, you know, we still have like people that we got in touch with through that we talked to outside of Enid and around the area. And so that's been a really, really good journey for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And then it also inspired this podcast.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
It gave us the opportunity for Ben and I to start doing things on the creative side that's not coffee related, you know, and so now we're doing this podcast and this show. And like you said, it's built that little community of us hanging out and doing business together just led down all these pathways with all these other connections that, like, I have my connections, you have your connections now, you know, and just these little pathways and those little rabbit trails that lead to other places that have been awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and we wouldn't have known that if we weren't in community together, you know?
Exactly.
And so that's kind of important.
Yes. That was a good time, man.
It was a great time.
Coffee community is like one of the best things to be a part of.
Yeah.
So I have so many like good memories from that.
Oh yeah. And I mean, like the greatest part was just seeing the same people every day and just getting to like chat with them and learn about their lives.
And at some point you have this weird moment where you're like, this is literally my job.
Yeah.
I come in here and I make coffee and then I serve coffee to people and make them happy.
Oh yeah.
Like
listen to their life story.
It's a great place to be for sure. If you're creative and you don't know what to do with yourself, go find a job in a coffee shop.
No,
like
that is
seriously,
100%
you will
true.
meet so many people. You will learn a skill that you can take with you to any city that you go to. You'll have something to fall back on. Don't make coffee. I mean, unless you really want to, don't make coffee your whole identity. Like, don't give up on your artistic dreams, but go work in a coffee shop and include that into your repertoire, because coffee itself is an art form.
Oh yeah, 100%. And
it's a great place to meet people,
especially if you're a writer, because you're going to learn all these people's life stories, and you can just going to come up with so many ideas for books and whatever it is.
Totally.
Just
we need a coffee prompt.
That's true.
Send us some coffee prompts.
Yeah, no one sent us a coffee prompt yet. Don't forget to send your prompts to TwoPoetsPodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on all the socials. Yeah, because we probably Maybe we'll just write our own prompt in there.
Yeah, we'll do that.
No, we'll draw them randomly.
And just so I don't get any weird freakouts, I'm still in coffee. So we haven't we are not like out of the coffee community. So
oh yeah. Yeah. I'm out of the coffee business, but we're still in the community of coffee community.
Yeah, I'll probably get some people close to me. They're like, what? I'm like, no, I'm still in coffee.
No, Ben's still doing it. Yeah. But no, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, community is just such an important thing, and I think that's another thing that's kind of underrated and underappreciated is the fact that, and the cool thing is when you're in a community, especially with people who have different creative sets, like skill sets, you're going to learn some awesome things that you didn't even know that you had a passion for or that you even thought of. And it's like, you can be in this community of people and you're showing them your stuff and they're like, oh, well, look at this thing I'm working on. It's like,
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the cool things that, I've kind of talked about on the show a little bit too, like what my day job is, my day job now is I just get to build art all day.
Make art.
And the cool thing is we recently, so the company I work for is Itinerant Immersive. You can find us on YouTube and all that other good stuff.
Yeah.
I get to make all the creative videos. But anyway, so we put out a call to artists because we believe in community, in the artistic community. So we're building this gigantic immersive walk through art exhibit huge thing, where we're converting this mobile home into a spaceship that you can walk through and touch things and everything's interactive. But we didn't want to just do it ourselves, so we put out a call to artists because we want the community involved. And so we got like 20 to 30 different artists from like all over the country who submitted things. Ben submitted something.
My wife and I are in there.
That's true. And so like we got all these really cool ideas and there's some of these ideas that we're like, we would never have thought of that.
Yeah.
But yes, that is totally going to work. You want to put all these crazy aliens in this laboratory that are interactive. When you push a button, they jump out and scare. And like, yes, please do that thing. We'll create the room for you to come in and do your art. So yeah, and the cool thing is, what I love about it too is all these artists that have said yes and they're going to work on this thing with us. We've asked them, hey, how would you feel about collaborating with this other artist who's doing something in this room, and you two did something, and of course they're like,
just
yes.
make it work together. Yeah,
and now not only are we collaborating with these artists, but we're asking them to collaborate with each other. And so now they're sharing their skill sets with each other and they're going to learn new things, And so that's just cool.
You're just making contacts, man. Like you're just meeting people and you're collaborating. I feel like collaboration is half of the fun.
Oh, 100%.
It's not even like getting to create stuff. It's getting to work with other creative people.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of more important to me than the actual creative process in some ways. Because it's like, I just want to do stuff with people. I want to collab and I want to do things and I want to like be around other people doing that. And I love that. I think it's going to be so much fun.
Yes. No, that's so cool. Yeah. So yeah, collaboration is another key point to community. And so, I mean, I don't know what else to say about community. It's just awesome,
Yeah.
And don't feel like we're saying you have to do this. I mean, it's a great thing to do. Please at least consider finding a community around you. Even if you just go attend something, be a wallflower. It's okay.
Seriously.
Sit, watch, learn, look, just, it's okay. If you're very timid and introverted, like I was, where you didn't really want to talk to anybody because you felt like you're going to throw up because of the anxiety, like just go watch. Go to an art show, go walk around a First Friday, even something like that. You're going to find artists out there or someone who is doing something that you want to do. And just watch them kind of, be creepy for a while and just,
seriously.
Stalk them. But, and then build the courage and go talk to them.
There's a lot of freedom about going somewhere where nobody knows you.
Oh,
I love that. When growing up, I had all these, in my head at least, I had all these things about the way I thought people perceived me, and it affected the way I acted around people. And then when you go somewhere where nobody knows you, there's this realization, it's like, I can be whatever I want to be here.
Yeah.
And you give yourself permission to just kind of do the things you always wanted to do. So maybe there's some people out there that need to just get out of town for a minute. Go give yourself an excuse to go and do something you would never do before. Don't do anything stupid. Don't go rob a bank or something. But go somewhere where nobody knows you and just blend in and see what happens.
Yeah.
I remember being in another state and going into a coffee shop and like talking to a barista and like making a friend. And it was just like, this person doesn't know me at all, you know? And I have the ability to like, I don't have to worry about overanalyzing what they think of me, you know? It's just a really cool, you know, chill atmosphere, and I can be whoever I want to be in that. And that's a really freeing thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that reminded me of another story. So another story time with Corey. So Lauren and I went to New York City for I think it was our 5th year wedding anniversary. And so she had never been to New York City, and I absolutely love going to New York City. And so we went there I think we went for like 5 or 6 days. So it was a good little bit of time, you know. That's
awesome.
And so while we were there, so one of our favorite music artists was there randomly at like a wine bar. So we got to go watch that and do some really cool stuff, check out the city. But this artist that I absolutely loved went by the name Sean West, who was a hand letterer. He kind of got his start doing hand lettering. He was one of the first people to like really I've
heard you talk about this guy before.
Do like hand lettering and like blow up on social media and that whole trend of like doing everything hand lettered.
Yeah.
And so I followed him forever. Like I just loved his daily posts, and like it really inspired me to start doing like hand lettering and like just typography and things like that. And while we were in New York City, I saw that he posted on his Instagram. One of his social medias. He was like, "Hey, New York City, we're gonna do a meetup on this day," and I was like, "That's tomorrow."
That's sick.
And we're in New York City. And he's like, "Meet at this bar. I'm going to have pizza. We're just going to hang out and chat and just talk. You know, just a community meetup," is what he called it. It was a community meetup. And I was like, I love this guy. I love his art.
We're going.
And so, I was like, "Lauren, should I go? I was like, "I can't go," because I was just so freaking nervous. And luckily she kind of talked me into it. And I was like, okay. So I'm in New York City. First of all, in a huge city, I've never met this person. I'm going to this room with a whole bunch of other creatives and that I've never met before. And I kind of just like walk in timidly and I see him sitting over there. And I see like 10 to 12 other people just sitting around. I'm just like walking. I'm like, "Hi, is this the meetup?"
That's awesome.
You know, but what's cool was I got to meet somebody that I loved their work, that I, copied and learned how to do what they did. And I also got to meet like 4 or 5 other people that I, like when it was done, like we sat around and talked, like not Sean, like these other creatives that were there. We sat around and talked for like 3-4 more hours. And then, we exchanged information, and, one of them did like design stickers and was doing typography stuff. And another person was, they were a watercolorer, and one was just like an urban sketcher. And so like, we just got to chat and talk and like share ideas. And
I love that.
I kept those contacts for a little while, but eventually, they kind of faded out. But they led into other things that I got to experience and learn. And so
it was a good season.
Oh yeah, it was great. And so just like those chances when they come up, take those chances. Seriously. You never know what it's going to lead to,
Good example of healthy community is Lauren pushing you to go.
Oh yeah.
That's a good place to be, is to have people around you that are actually going to push you into things that you're interested in. A lot of times we are the only thing stopping us from doing what we want to do.
Oh yeah. We can justify in our mind.
Man, you need people to say, "No, you're going to this. Like, shut up. You're going."
Yeah. This is your dream. This is the thing you want to do. You're going.
This is your chance. You're going. Don't worry about me or I'll go with you or whatever, but find those people, man.
Yeah.
Good job, Lauren.
Yes. Thank you, Lauren, because that was a cool experience in New York City on a random Thursday.
Good stuff.
So we want to hear your stories. What did we miss? What are some things that we missed that we should have talked about when it comes to community? What are your thoughts on it and the importance of community? Maybe you have some stories you want to share about, community in your town, in your life. Like I said, you can email us at TwoPoetsPodcast@gmail.com. You can comment on the YouTube video. Please let us know exactly what, your stories, your experiences are with this.
Maybe you have a community and you're looking for people to join.
Yeah, come join our
Reach out.
community. Yes, be in our community.
Give us a
Let's
resource
chat.
to send people.
Yeah, let's chat. Let's talk. Let's get connected. Yeah, so let's do that. Awesome. So
Cool, man.
Yeah, we're excited. I'm excited for next week.
Yes.
I'm loving these shows. I hope you all are loving these episodes and at least getting something out of
Yeah.
it. We've been hearing some kind words from some of you, and that's what it's about. That's what's
Seriously,
exciting.
we appreciate that so much.
Yeah, and like I said, please just write us. Let us know. Send in your prompts. We need more prompts because we want to build a huge list of prompts. We've got a good, nice list of it too. So
Yeah, I'm excited about the stuff we've been getting. We've been getting some good stuff.
yeah, and it's about time to draw another prompt. Let me pull up my list here.
Pull up my random number generator.
Random number generator. I feel like I need some like little
We
music.
need an intro. Yeah, totally. A little buffer music.
I just opened it and then I closed it and I forgot where I put it. I do that a lot. Okay, not poems and stories. We're gonna go to prompts and topics.
Prompt and topic.
Oh, I forgot to add a couple, but I know what numbers they are in my head. Okay,
Sweet.
So 1 through 12. So as we take them away, some get added. So we're back to 12 again. So 1 through 12.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. I feel like I get the same numbers. I got number 8.
Another one.
Okay. That's what I was thinking, man.
Remember, if we draw the same name, we're gonna redraw.
Generate. Number 4.
We keep getting the same person. Draw.
Okay.
Chrissy's done multiple.
Number 3.
Number 3 is, I'm excited about this one.
Okay.
Devin sent in this prompt.
Ooh, I know what this one is.
So thank you, Devin. I always forget Devin's last name, but Devin from Da Vinci. The prompt he sent in is horror. That's it, horror. So we get to write a poem about horror.
Oh, man.
I was really hoping this one would get picked. So
This is interesting because horror is not like in a wheelhouse for me in some degree. So this is going to be a good challenge.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this one.
I'm gonna make mine like super like slapstick funny horror.
Abbott and Costello horror.
Oh yes, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein
do
poetry.
we have like any type of rating? Like, are we keeping it PG-13? Are we going full on R-rated horror? Like, what are we talking here?
This
is total like
it's total freedom. This show is about just being ourselves and
All
being,
right.
So if you feel it has to go that way, then it has to go that way.
Okay, I apologize for whatever comes out of this. I don't know.
We never said it was family friendly.
We never said.
But don't worry, if a show ever gets, so I will say this, if a show ever gets to where we're talking and discussing a topic that might be heavy or hard, we will put some warnings in the description or before the show to let you know, hey, we are going to be talking about this, or if we have a guest on here, or if we just somehow just have a whole bunch of expletives, we'll put a mature warning on the episode. So don't worry, we'll always make sure to let you know beforehand. So
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, so horror, here we go. Next
Here it
week,
is.
episode 6. Thank you all once again so much for listening. We really appreciate y'all. And don't forget, you can also give us a review on iTunes and Spotify.
Yes, please.
Those really help us into getting the word out there about our show.
Absolutely.
So, it takes you 2 seconds to share the show with your family and friends. Yeah, but we'll see y'all next week. As always, I'm Corey.
I'm Ben.
See you next week.
See ya.